Time to die.
I choose to live.
Hey, welcome back, fellow nerds. This is the Fellowship of the Nerds. I am your host, as always, Luke Skywalker. Today we have a really cool review, I promise you guys. You remember when we went to Scotland, we got to meet Rosario Dawson, we got our plaque sign of Ahsoka, and we reviewed the Ahsoka lightsabers, and they were really amazing, and they are, do not get me wrong. But recently I came across this opportunity that I could not resist, and this is a big one because these are Ultimate Works ASK lightsabers. These are Ahsoka Tano's version 2, because there is a version 1, and we'll get to the differences in a second. I know that I said that I'm not very ultra keen on upgrading lightsabers, but I did also tell you that there will be a few that we'll be reviewing soon, and here they are. This is one of them, the set that's going to replace this amazing set coming up right now here in the Fellowship of the Nerds.
May the Force be with you.
In these amazing boxes from Ultimate Works, we find our Shoto and our long hilts. So we're gonna open these. So we have on each of them we have a says 3-5. Okay, so how to install the chassis and all that, which, to be fair, it's relatively self-evident. Let me turn this around. We have our long chassis, and we have in here blade plot and the adapter for actually put the blade in, and then here we have our charging cable and the little keys and retention screws and all that, and here we have the chassis, and here we have the same thing. So Shoto, plate plug and the adapter, and of course cable, all that, and that is a data cable, so we can do stuff, because this being Asteria, these are boards that are very customizable, and you can do pretty much on the fly. Not like Proffie where you have to like program and stuff. They're a bit they have their complications, but it makes sense that they will give you a charging cable so you can update the board and do stuff on the go. So overall, these are the Ultimate Works boxes. I think, as always, Ultimate Works goes above and beyond in terms of giving you stuff and making nice presentations. Okay, look at this. Look at this. These are amazing. I've always thought that Ahsoka Tano's lightsabers are amazing, but these are really astonishing. I just want you to stop there for a second to look at the craftsmanship of them. And like I said, these are version 2, because version 1, not only were they 7/8 of an inch blades, but also they had 2 buttons, like very teeny tiny hidden buttons here. That's how you control, where these are controlled by this button. And this button, if you, well, depending on how you insert the battery, because as you always know, or you probably know by now, chassis from Ultimate Works, if you put them one way, button, power button is the power, but if you put it another way, power button is the aux, and vice versa. So, but essentially, if you rock it up, it'll be one thing, and you rock it down will be another. And say whenever you do need to do the 2 button usage, for example, these are Asteria cores, And on Asteria, to change the color, you have to like press both buttons at the same time. On these, you kind of like rock them like ring, and voila, it would change color of the blade. And you can see Shoto, which is like, I just want to show you side by side, if you can capture these. Now I want to give you the comparison. Here's the LGT, and here is the Ultimate Works. And right off the bat, this thing is a bit thicker, but not really ultra thick. Like, you can still easily grab this, where this one, just to give you an idea of, you know, how much my my thumb goes around when holding this. This is also one button configuration. And what I mean by that also, I mean that there's only one button to control this, but this is truly a one button, where this is technically two. So it's not really true that it's one button. It's just, you know, it's a little misdirect there. But just look at the differences on the emitter. Now, mind you, this emitter is long, and there's a reason for that. So LGT's doesn't have the option for you to put a screen accurate plug. And obviously, because these emitters are so short, you cannot just use this one, because if I were to like just unscrew that and put a blade there, it wouldn't hold. Like, you're talking like very, very, very minimal depth. So you get this. Now the difference is that on LGT, this is how you have it presented, and then you have to put in a blade plug. But because it's so short, even with a short blade plug, you can still see that there's a bit of the blade plug showing out, where this one is like this. But whenever you want to put the blade, you have to unscrew this. Here, let me put this down. You have to unscrew this and change the emitter, and then you put an emitter that's exactly like this one, and then you put the blade. Also, there's a big difference that this is a 1-inch blade, and this one is 7/8. Version 1, the one that had the 2 buttons on the Ultimate Works, was 7/8 of an inch, but apparently Ultimate Works said that they listened to feedback. People wanted a 1-inch blade, so they gave them the 1-inch. So this is why this is a teeny tiny bit thicker than the version 1, but I generally love it. I'm not gonna lie. So you have the side-by-side comparison here. You can see this one is significantly larger. It's a little bit thicker, but significantly larger. The only one that I think is a bit larger than this and thinner is the Lightsabers. Lightsabers, you're talking, they're like insane amount of money. You're talking over 700 pounds. This is around, if I recall correctly, 600 pounds, whatever that is in your currency. And this, you're talking around 400 plus. Fortunately, I haven't paid any of those prices for these, because we got in these on great offers. This one in particular, actually, this one came from eBay, from a seller who had gotten this as a gift. He didn't get to give it as a gift. I didn't really want to ask too much on the history of why the gift failed, but he had it, and he was not interested in them whatsoever. They were completely new and unopened. They have been tested to check that they work, and they do work. But it was such an amazing deal, because he gave it to me essentially at what be like around half price of the retail price, which I think is amazing. And these we got on a, oh god, I think we got them on a summer sale, I want to say, if I recall correctly. Well, we got a really good price on this. This did not came with a blade plug. We had to put this in. Like I said, no blade plug fits here properly, because there's no blade plug. They're so short, unless you were to take, well, you can't see it here, but Mace Window's blade plug, which is just teeny tiny, the golden one. But then, you know, it would match one, but not the other. So, you know, it'll look kind of weird. These, just want to show you the comparison of the Shotos real quick. So we grabbed the Shoto of LGT and, well, LGT, Nexus, and then all the brands that sell these, you know, Demon Sabers, Joy Sabers, all that sort of stuff. But this, you can see, This one, the difference in length is not really that much. Like it's almost the same, but the difference in width is significantly thicker on the Ultimate Works than it is on the LGT. But look at that. That's really, really something. Also, big difference on these is how to access their chassis. So on this one, on the Ultimate Works, you simply unscrew this. This comes right off, and just pull out the chassis, and that's it. Where on these, you had to unscrew this, remove this, then you had to yes, here, this side, you remove the entire plug off, and then you had like 3 sections, and you have to like pull, and there's like a golden core, very cool, it's a golden core split on 3. You have to like remove the lid, sort of a lid of each of the parts. You have to remove the lid to well, not to charge. To charge, you'll get the little plug there. But if you want to like charge, as in like remove the battery, then yes, you have to remove that, and to access the SD card as well, which is how we put the fonts here that we have, which are pretty cool. We have on this one, we have Shadow Master, we have Lady Tano, and we have the Ben Kenobi from the Kenobi series. All of them from K-Sith, if I recall correctly. And they're really, really, really cool. And we're going to put the same on these. And then we're going to continue our review. We're going to go outside to show you what they look like in the dark. And like I said, these are Asteria. This is the first Asteria board that I'm using, so it's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but I thought it was worth it. Also, just to give you a reference, the Lightsaber collection book, which is 100% recommended, which you can get essentially all the images of the official lightsabers. If you were to compare this one to the one that's there on the book, and as you're seeing on the screen right now, it is pretty accurate. Where this one is not that much. So if you compare this to what you're seeing on screen right now versus this is a bit more accurate, especially on the way that the curvature goes at the bottom. But having said that, they're pretty cool. On the hand, like very easy to move around. They're not heavy. Neither of them are heavy. If anything, funny enough, even though this is thin, I would say that this one is much heavier than this one. Well, much is heavier, not much. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna lose my arm, but this one is definitely heavier than this one. So you know, there's that peculiarity there. But other than that, pretty amazing upgrade. This will be going to a good home, so I'm very glad that that it will. This is gonna be amazing. So without further ado, let's take this outside, show you what it looks like in the dark, with sounds and stuff, and then we'll come back inside. I'll play you a little bit of. Doesn't come with a lot of Soundfonts, but Asteria, once you get around, from everything I've seen, once you get around to knowing how to, like, you know, put on fonts and stuff, is relatively more straightforward than Proffie. What I mean by that is, from everything that I've seen, is Proffie, for certain things, it's, you know, essentially copy and paste and replace. But for other things, you really need to know how to code. Where this, yes, you're coding, but it's really more like, you know, once you get, and you can get this from the internet, you know, what the configurations are of, you know, Flickr or this or that, you just like put it there and that's it. You don't really need to worry. Same with colors. Once you know, okay, well, this RGB combination is white, is green, is blue, whatever, you just copy and paste it, and that's, or at least on paper it seems that way. Like I said, this will be a learning curve, so I'll be very keen on checking that out. Let's take it. Let me stop talking. Let's take it outside so we can check it out.
A Mandalorian and a Jedi? They'll never see it coming.
Okay, that is pretty impressive. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you before I put the blade back in and stuff, just to show you the difference of when you have the adapter on versus when you only have the blade plug on. Now, for purposes of this presentation, we're only going to use one hilt, so I'm going to use the longer one instead of the Shoto. We're going to leave the Shoto back here, but just wanted to show you, what it looks like. And she always thinks I'm talking to her, doesn't she? What it looks like in comparison on these two. Obviously, for exposition, shelf, storage, whatever you want to call it, we'll leave it with the blade plug. But, it'll only be fair if I show you what the difference is between one and the other. So we put it back there with our Rosario Dawson lovely, amazing autograph from the amazing Rosario, and we will put the blade back on this. This comes with two blades, obviously different size, but they're Ultimate Works blades, which means that they're superb quality, to be fair. So let's put it back on and we can check it out. Okay, now that we have our hilt back with the blade, this is 36 inches, by the way, and the Shoto, the Ultimate Works Sans is 28 inches. Of course, we can figure that however you see fit, but I think 36 and 28, based on the difference of length, it's pretty okay, to be fair. Although 36 inches with a hilt this long is a bit cumbersome to operate, as you probably realized when I was using them outside. But yeah, it has that. Now for outside, we use this. Basically comes with not that many fonts, but you can load up, if I recall correctly, up to 32. And the only thing is that you have to put them together, and it's not how can I explain this? If you buy any pack, say from Kyberphonics, and you get, Proffie, CFX, Neopixel, whatever, normally you just like grab everything and dump it on wherever it goes on your board. But with this, first of all, there's no such thing as a Asteria configuration. The closest thing that you get is the CFX, although you have to rename a couple of files. But essentially, you have to like organize it yourself, put it yourself, and then you have to add on the Asteria boards. They have an added configuration where you essentially grab blade effects and ignition effects and stuff like that. It gives you like a few, and then on those few, then you can work on them to say, oh, I want this flicker, but I want it with this speed and this latency and this blah 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 blah. You basically just play around with what you want. So we've used it. Also does that once you've not used it for a while, it goes into sleep. And yes, that's Huyang, and we put sounds, so like this configuration is Huyang instead of the usual standard voice that these things have. So yes, you have to basically put them together, and then you can pretty much decide what it is that you want it to do. I think that has a pro and it has a con. The con is if you don't know what you're doing, you could be experimenting there for hours. And to put it bluntly, so there's that. But on the other hand, it does give you the fact that you pretty much can do whatever you want. You don't need to know coding. You just need to have patience and time, and that's it. Where if you don't know coding, if you're doing Proffie, you're pretty much screwed, and you have to go to someone that does. Or the alternative, if you have Neopixel, then it's pretty straightforward because you have to put it in. The problem with Neopixel is unless you have like say TXQ that has Force Park, you cannot like edit the flicker and stuff like that. So you pretty much are left with a blade that is just standard, has no flicker whatsoever, because the flickering of Neopixel on the Sino app, I know they're coming to, so you can do your own, but like as it stands right now, if you do any configuration that's has like unstable whatever, that try to give you a flicker, there are certain blades that will give you a seizure. I'm not kidding. So there is that. This you can pretty much do whatever you want. We have what I've done also, because this is Ultimate Works. It comes as you will as a pre-kit. So essentially what that means is if you have a chassis, either Proffie or Asteria from Ultimate Works, they're pretty much good to go for you to put in and do what you want. So when we did the testing outside, we used the Proffie boards, and now for the testing inside, we're going to use the Asteria boards. So you can see the differences between one thing and the other. So the Proffie boards has the stuff that we've already seen in the past. In that one in particular you've seen, that was the Mandalorian Ahsoka Tano, and this one is from season 1. There, like I said, there are also other fonts in here. There's Qui-Gon, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, Palpatine. There's some that are just really pointless, and there are others that you will recognize as well. But the bottom line is, this is, besides of a bit of a learning curve, this is also the fact that it's very, very configurable. So what you see here doesn't necessarily mean that this is the finished product, if you will, because you, the user, can do whatever you want with it. There's a couple of videos out there that will show you how to do it. The manual that has, really, if you have patience and time, you can get it. If not, funny enough, you can essentially, if there's a section that you don't quite get or you think is too long, I think it's pages 15 to 18 are the key. Just grab the text and run it through any AI and just, tell it to give you the general gist of it, because it's pretty useful in that sense, and it could save you time. So there is that. Having said that, what we've done with the steer boards is we've put in pretty much the standard. So like when I mean standard, I mean the usual rollout of lightsabers, the usual flicker. We haven't really changed it in terms of timing, so the flicker might be a bit too much or not too much, depending on your taste. But the bottom line is that this can now then be edited however I see fit. So I think that's a cool part. On the other hand, I do like the Proffie where, once you have the thing done, it's done. Like, you don't need to worry about that sort of stuff. So, in that sense, make of that what you will, and you make your own choice. Let me start us off. Yeah, this is one of those real ones.
We'll handle this.
We all recognize that voice and that music. So when you clash it sounds like that, I think that's pretty cool.
I choose to live.
This is our Lady Tano from K-Sith fonts. This, don't tell me this isn't cool. But you have to work around. So that flicker and stuff, that's the standard on the flicker. But you can make it quicker, slower. You can do all sorts of things with it. I don't know of the. One thing I don't like about Asteria is the class, the lockup, that flashing thing. Like once it doesn't go away the minute you release the button, like it does in Proffie. You have to press it and then it just kills it. There's no other sound unless I haven't been able to figure that out. If there's such thing and you know about it and you're seeing this video, please let me know in the comments, because obviously I might be missing something here.
Ahsoka Tano.
This is another, but it's pretty much the same one. It's just with a different sound font.
I've come to kill you.
Well, no, this one. See what I mean? It just stops there.
I'll show you the dark side.
This is the unstable blade of Asteria, which I think it's called Chaos. Again, you can do a lot with it.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Now, funny enough, the operation of this, because it's the same button and you have to like press it one way or the other, is a bit tricky. But I mean, this is just because of this particular hilt. That doesn't mean that all the hilts will be like that in any way, shape, or form.
This part, folks.
We all know the BMF. And if you hear the hum, it's not the usual Mace Windu hum, but again, this is something that you can edit easily. So we just left what came with the lightsaber. Clone Wars Obi-Wan, which I really like.
Battle mode off.
You can put on the battle mode. And that's off. I think don't press it to turn it on. Or triple. I can't get it to go now, but it's one way or the other.
I am the Senate.
Pops. And again, this is not the usual ignition sound or hum. Good house, but this is the one that came with it. Again, you can customize that.
Never fought anyone like me.
Dragon. Oh, very interesting. It's like orangey, slimy. Interesting.
I am no Jedi.
This is Clone Wars Ahsoka.
Battle mode.
There we go. Ooh, I like the smooth swing of this.
Select color profile.
Oh,
Select color profile.
So, normally in Asteria, to change the color is as simple as pressing the both buttons. Because this button is the same for both, you could accidentally hit that, but I mean, it's as simple as just do it again and cycle through colors. So it's not really that complicated, and it's just because of this particular hand. Again, that does not a representation of all the Asteria lightsabers.
Obi-Wan was right. You are difficult to kill.
Okay.
Very interesting one. This is another of this weirdy ones. And then we're back to Kylan.
We'll handle this.
Like I said, it doesn't have that many fonts, but you know, it does get the job done, if you will. Now, what do I think about this? In terms of design, presentation, how solid the hilts are, how beautiful they are, how light, even though they're bigger, how light are they in comparison to, say, for example, the LGT. They're amazing. In terms of price, luckily, like I said, we got this from someone who was literally just selling this on eBay, and it hadn't been used or anything like that, because it had been meant for a gift that was just never given. But usually this will set you back £600-700, which is insane. I've seen the KR ones for over 1,000. Like I always say, there's no lightsaber out there unless it was a real thing that, in my opinion, is worth that kind of money. But you know, the eBay thing proves my point. You can end up buying these things for very reasonable prices. So I always say shop around and shop smartly. And eBay, for example, yes, there's no customer support or anything like that because it's just one person selling to the other. But if there had been anything wrong with them, eBay would step in and would always have your back. When it comes to other shops, like say, for example, if you're going to get the KR ones, yes, it will set you back a lot of money. But KR would, I mean, we'll always have you back in any single stupid question. And you know, when it comes to like how it's going to come out, if you're buying the one that's completely installed, because you could buy just the Hilt or buy the DIY kit and do it yourself. Yeah, that sort of stuff will make a difference. But you know, it's up to you to decide, is that worth all of this extra cash or not? I'm not the one to tell you. I'm only going to say, like I say always, shop smartly. Is the Ultimate Works Ahsoka Tano lightsaber recommended from us? Yes, It has the cons, like we've said. You know, if you've gone with the Asteria boards, that you're pretty much going to have to build them yourself. If you're going with the Proffie, you're probably already going to have a preset of a lot of stuff already in there, and you're not going to have to worry about it that much. And even if you did, you can always send it to good sabersmiths like our friends in SaberSense or anybody like that that will, you know, obviously keep you right and do whatever you want it with that board. So there is that. My recommendation, even though these are Asterias, get Proffie, but because we have all the Ultimate Works and their Proffie, if at any point I just want to switch cores like we did for to show the comparison between and the test outside and this, you can. So I think that's a pro. The fact that even if you choose one thing, if you have another, you can always, you know, cycle back and forth. So I think that's pretty cool, because if you were to get, I don't know, a TXQ, for example, right? And I love TXQ. But if you were going to get one of their sabers with their cores, you're not going to be able to say, like, you know what? Now I'm going to use the LGT core that I have on this one. But no, you're not going to be able to. I mean, it'd be really rare, especially if you have one of those TXQ that's like a two-step. So there's that. I think that's pretty cool. And being Ultimate Works, they're pretty prone into, like, you know, putting a bunch of information out there for you to work with. And like I said, the manual of the steers are incredibly extensive. So you can really play around. The only but to that is, unless you're doing it with the thing connected, you're always going to have to, like, you know, take the chassis out. Well, you're always going to have to take the chassis anyways, but, like, you know, you're going to have to take the chassis out, take the SD card out, do the thing, configure whatever it is you want to configure, then put it back in, test it. How does this look? How does this not look? Okay, now let's do it again. It can be a bit of a pain, but it saves you having to learn how to code and a lot of stuff. And it really just gives you a lot of options, because you can say, like, oh, here, I'm going to save this config, do it this way. And then tomorrow I could say, you know what? I now want this ignition to be this way. I can grab my config, save it somewhere else, copy that, change whatever I want to change, put it on that, boom, off you go. And then you can start cycling it. So, you know, again, pros and cons. That somebody could say that's a pro, some can say that's a con, but it's really up to you. Other than that, recommend it. Yes, I've been after these this set since pretty much I saw them. I think the only sets out there that are on this level of amazingness are KRs and Lightsabers. I think those are phenomenal on their own right. So if you're not getting those, get these, because they're really, in my opinion, they're, well, like everything. If you get this, you get 89 Sabers, KR, Lightsabers, Corbin, you're always, you know, going for a winner. So there's that. But the LGTs that we had, and you would have seen the full review of those, like, they were amazing too in their own right. And because they were Neopixel, we were able to put a bunch of fonts and do a lot of stuff with them. So there's that too. So, you know, in that sense, I'd leave it up to you for you to decide, and let me know in the comments what it is that you end up deciding. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, consider subscribing if you aren't, and if you are, thank you very much for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me and all the people that help on making these videos. And until the next time, like I always say, may the force be with you, may the odds be ever in your favor, and live long and prosper. See you around, nerds.